Meeting will now come to order. We will begin with introductions and seating of alternates, and we'll begin introductions with our town staff.
Dan Bure, town planner.
Henry Colangelo, CEO.
Okay, and for commission members, we'll begin introductions starting on my far left.
Tom Bransfield.
Victoria Chechet.
Bob Ellsworth.
Chantel Foster.
Robert Taylor.
Yeah.
Joe Spada.
Okay, Tom, would you be seated for Jen, please?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Next item is to accept the agenda. May I have a motion to accept the agenda as presented?
So moved.
And a second?
Seconded.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Okay, the agenda is accepted as presented. Meeting procedures, we had talked about this. Anticipating a large crowd, we decided that each member of the public would be limited to 5 minutes per round for comments and questions. And if you wish to speak beyond your 5 minutes, then after everyone else has had a chance to speak, then you'll be able to come back up again and speak. There is a sign-up sheet, which is right up here. Okay, thank you. And just a reminder that all questions from members of the public must be addressed to the commission through the chairman. And if I or someone on the commission can't answer the question, then we'll ask the applicant or someone on the team to address your question. So I think that's an overview of the procedures. So we'll move on then to our public hearing. We have tonight application 25-05, 69 Marlborough Street, request for a special permit modification, application and property of BRT DeMarco PTP LLC, map 19, lot 68, zone B-2, B-3, and TCVD, Town Center Village District. May I have a motion to open the public hearing, please?
So moved.
And a second?
Seconded.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Okay, the public hearing for application 25-05 is now open. Would someone like to speak on behalf of this application? And I ask anyone who does speak, please stand at the podium and state your name and address. Thank you.
Dan Bertram from Belper. 69 Marlborough, 69 Marlborough, yes.
I can't hear you, Dan.
Oh, 69 Marlborough, sorry. I'm gonna keep my introductory comments super short because we're here with the market feedback on the commercial leasing side of things. And that's really broadly the context in which we're making some modifications based on having been out there in the marketplace and having some good success. So we've got Starbucks, obviously, that's been open for the year. Jersey Mike's is going in next to them. Chipotle is going into the B1 building first as you come over the bridge. And there are other conversations going on. And so in order to sort of begin phase 3 as it relates to, kind of a Q1 start, these are the tweaks that we're thinking are necessary to pull that off and finish off the job. So with that, I'll turn it over to the team.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Steve Sullivan, professional engineer, registered in the state of Connecticut with CCA. If they can pull up the CCA slide 1. Okay. So I'm going to go through the list. We submitted a letter with a list of the modifications or changes we're looking to we're proposing. Let's start with building A, which is right in the center of the page here. Building A, the changes for that where we shifted it to the west 33 feet. So if you look at this freeway intersection, there used to be a driveway that went straight through. We decided we don't need that driveway, so we shifted it 33 feet to the west. That enabled us to increase the parking in this parking field located here. In addition to, for building A, we added a 5th floor. So that's gonna change the independent living units from 108 to 145 independent living units. The building height changed from 58.7 feet to 68.45 feet. 70 feet is the maximum height. Building B1 and B2, located at the top left corner of the page. They used to be connected with a central elevator connection. We eliminated that, so B1 is a standalone building. Proposed uses for B1 was 2nd floor office that has remained unchanged from the prior approval. And the 1st floor, we have a mixture of retail and restaurant. As the applicant just mentioned, Chipotle is looking to take this space on the bottom of B1 with some outdoor patio space. So B2 is actually now going to be connected to Sage House, which is building C, with an elevated connection, bridge connection here. Change in use from our prior approval. 1st floor is still retail. The 2nd floor of B2 would be daycare, which is going to match the 1st floor of building C, which is also going to be daycare. Prior use for building C was a restaurant use, and now it's proposed as a daycare. 2nd floor, there's some 2nd floor office of building C that remains unchanged. We had office there before, and it's still planned for office space. So total commercial square footages increased from 195,802 square feet to 233,088 square feet. Maximum impervious coverage reduced slightly from 11.19 acres to 11.13 acres. Green space increased slightly from 3.69 acres to 3.76 acres. Required, the parking, the required parking calculation changed from 1,069 spaces to 1,038 spaces. Our proposed parking changed from 888 spaces to 893 spaces. If you recall, in the past, we got a parking space reduction waiver. It's actually improved in this scenario. The prior approval was 17.03% parking waiver. We are proposing now 13.96%. If they could switch to slide 2. It's a good picture.
Like something I'll draw.
Oh, I think they went down too far. Oh, that might be it. Yes, this is the landscape plan. We are proposing an enhanced tree line central pedestrian access. Kind of in the midpoint of this curve of the new right turn to Marlborough Street. Prior, we had nothing proposed here before. We did have a connection out to Marlborough just off the corner of B2. But we felt this would be a nice feature to get into the complex through this central area here. It is subject to the DOT landscape design team as far as the trees in the state right away. But that's a process we'll go through with them. And the last change we're proposing, there is a sassafras tree located right here. And it's not in the best shape and it's not the best looking tree in our opinion. And it, in the prior approval, we had to bump out the sidewalk closer to Marlborough to get around the tree. we feel it's better just to eliminate that tree and go straight through with the sidewalk. It pulls it away from Marlborough Street a little further. And we'll propose a new sassafras further off of Marlborough Street between building C and B2, which is right in this area. So from a site perspective, those are the proposed changes we're presenting.
Excuse me. At the end of the, your tree lined walk, what is that block there?
So this is some benches and landscaping there, and then it's, there's sidewalks around the four sides of that.
You mentioned a slight increase in green space.
Well, yeah, since there's a slight reduction in impervious, there's a slight increase in green space, so I'll just
Could you
restate those numbers.
Okay.
So the prior approval, it was 3.69 acres. It's 3.76 acres now.
So a slight reduction.
Slight increase
Increase
in green space, yes.
Could I ask? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Carolyn, just speak more to Mike.
I was just wondering why you're adding an additional floor to building A.
I think the applicant can elaborate that.
A lot of these changes, certainly with A, are related to the rooftop restaurant that we're trying to pull off and feedback we got from different operators. So you'll see later in the presentation how that manifests. So it's a little smaller and it's just so expensive to get it up in the air. And so there were some economics that drove that. So just the viability of it. So just having more units helps with that. The other side of it, in terms of the shift of the building, we were in part moving it because it gave a larger dedicated parking space to the west of the entrance. And you'll see that later in the presentation when they show the architecturals. So there were a couple of things driving the changes to A. The costs associated with getting up to the fourth floor and having assembly there, there's some code related things that make the building very expensive to create. So that drove, if we were spending some of these methodologies to make that happen, that experience happen on the fourth floor, then we were essentially saying, well, how do we pull that off? And the additional units help the economics of the building. So, but it was very much driven on A, it was very much driven by the restaurant experience. And like I said, it will be part of the experience, part of this presentation that'll elaborate on that further. Sure.
We could certainly do
Yes.
that.
Should we continue with the presentation or?
Questions about what he's going to do.
Oh, okay.
We're kind of like ahead of it.
Yep.
Yeah,
Good
no
good
problem.
idea. Yeah, we'll finish. Well, let's let them go through the whole presentation. They may answer some of our questions. And then if everybody would please write down your questions so you don't forget them.
Sure.
I've got a couple already, but yeah, we'll
No, of
proceed.
course, we'll field all the questions. Goes up next. Thanks.
I was hoping you'd be here tonight.
All right, so for the record, Joe Balskis, VHB, Director of Transportation, licensed professional engineer, Portland resident. Been here a few times, obviously talking about traffic. Pretty simple presentation tonight, just there's a letter I'm just submitted. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought I had extra one. Yeah, thank you. So in a nutshell, what's happening here is that with these changes that Steve talked about, there's an increase in traffic, okay? And I'll talk about that. but last time we were here, we had a reduction in traffic. Okay, so we're kind of offsetting what's happening. So we're getting back to where we were original approval. So, and basically in summary, we're basically adding traffic with this modification, but we're getting back to our original traffic approval that we had from the original site plan. So in the letter itself, it described what Steve talked about in terms of the changes to the land use. I break it down for you as well. And the daycare itself being 174 student daycare. I break that down. I talk about the previous presentation I made. We had a reduction of 135 trips in the afternoon peak hour. We had a reduction. And then in the page, the letter itself is the bottom of the page. We're showing a 16 trip increase in independent living units. We're showing a decrease in the restaurant space of 43 trips, excuse me. The daycare adds 120 trips, all right, 174 students, 120 trips. That's based, and these are all based upon ITE rates that you've heard me talk about in the past, which is just, the standard rates that we use from the Office of State Traffic Administration, and then the office space a little bit more. So, and in the end, we're looking at about 100 trips being increased in the afternoon peak hour. And you say, well, Joe, it's a lot of traffic. It's really not, but it's traffic. But what we're doing here is we're calling back, what we have reduced from the last time. So in the end, we're still below the original approved traffic volumes that were being generated by the original approval. This is increasing it, but again, we're not above what we were approved for before. So if we're above that, maybe doing a story, do a traffic study, doing some analysis, maybe go back to the state and talk to them as well. But with this type of change we have here, the daycare is the biggest thing, as you see here. So, but even that, some daycares, we have daycare starting in the peak hour. A lot of daycare start before the peak hour. So we're being conservative in our numbers, but even so, we're still less than what we had for a reduction last time. So we're not talking about new traffic in terms of new traffic. It's just traffic that we reduced from last time to get back to our original approved traffic volumes on original approval. So that's my presentation. Things are going well. The improvements are all done, as you know. The signal's working fine. I obviously live in town. I drive it all the time and see it. I drive in and out of there. I've been to Starbucks as well. I've been eyeing it, but things are moving very well. Obviously, it's not fully developed yet, but in terms of the improvements, we're looking pretty good for accommodating all the future traffic. So bottom line is we're increasing traffic with this from the last one, but we're not going beyond what we were approved for from the town and from State Traffic Administration. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
If we could do the architectural presentation next. My name is Maura Newell-Wan. I'm principal architect with 72 Architects in Danbury. I'm excited to share with you some modifications tonight. So the modifications to the locations of buildings A and B offer an improved view shed to the Hart Jarvis house from Main Street. The red triangle you see here was the original view through the originally proposed buildings, and our new buildings are further apart, so the blue shows the wider view. So we could see a lot more of Hart Jarvis. We could also see Sage and Brainerd House. The subtle design changes open up the interior of campus for better visibility to the fully restored Brainerd House and Sage House as well. The 3 historically restored buildings will be featured like the jewels that they are. Slide, please. Coming off the bridge onto Main Street is an important threshold welcoming visitors and residents to the town of Portland. These corner buildings are an opportunity to frame the entrance to town. Driving off the bridge now, the first buildings we see are flat roof commercial buildings, including a storage facility and a gas station. This development is an opportunity to revive more of a charming New England village feel. The original building B will now be divided into 2 separate buildings. The proposed design meets and exceeds the recommendations of the Portland Village District Design Guidelines. The 2 buildings are similar but not identical to each other. By separating into 2 buildings, there's an opportunity to create a pedestrian and visual connection to the Main and Marlboro intersection. Slide. Building B1 is located on the east side of the site. The first floor features 84,010 square feet of retail space. The second floor offers 8,240 square feet of office space. Rooftop mechanicals are hidden from view by the gable roofs that surround a sunken flat roof area. Slide. The building features an elevator for handicap accessibility and 2 fire stairs for egress. Slide. Building B1 marks the entrance to Brainerd Place from Main Street. The architecture recalls a New England vernacular. Intersecting gables of varied height and width run parallel and perpendicular to the street. A mix of cladding textures include clapboard and vertical board and batten siding. Dark bronze double-hung windows are complemented by dark bronze gutters and rainwater leaders. The brownstone look foundation details match other buildings in town, including the Brainerd House and the Hart Jarvis House. Slide. Building B2 is located at the north side of the site, adjacent to the historic Sage House. The existing grade slopes, and this difference leaves the building's 1-story offset. The Sage House is shown here, grayed out on the left for reference. Slide. The proposed design shows the second floor of B2 connecting to the first floor of Sage. So the way that Sage sits up a full story higher allows us to enter through the first floor of Sage, come across a bridge to the second floor of B2, all at the same level. The roof of B2 is approximately aligned with the second floor of Sage, and the first floor of B2 is about aligned with the basement of Sage House. The entrance to B2 through the historic Sage House offers handicap access, safe egress path, and a unique opportunity to celebrate and engage with this charming building as the Sage House becomes the front door to the second floor of B2. Slide. Massing of the building adds rhythm and visual interest to the streetscape. The undulating facade interrupts the length of the building to bring it down to human scale as the building faces the street and sidewalk. Slide. This is a view of B1 and B2 from inside the property. Between the two buildings, we can see the open connection to the Main and Marlborough intersection. An accent signage band wraps the building as a belt course detail. Awnings are used to mark the retail entrances. Large storefront glass offers views into the first floor retail spaces, while double hung windows bring light and air into the offices above. In this image, we are standing approximately at the corner of Building A. In the next image, we'll turn around to see Building A from the Building B parking lot. Slide. Building A is home to independent living and active adult apartments, as well as a commercial restaurant that will be open to the public. This space is carved out of the 4th floor along the west side of this new building. Slide. Guests enter the restaurant at the west elevation, and vertical passage to the restaurant is accentuated with contrasting siding and stucco in a dark gray. Slide. A large interior dining room hosts 115 guests, and an outdoor patio hosts 70 people. This uniquely situated restaurant will be a destination for tourists and out-of-town diners. Slide. We are looking to celebrate the incredible views of the steel arch trussed bridge, gentle river, and the expansive horizon of rolling hills. Slide. Views from the rooftop terrace at the new restaurant are truly spectacular. Guests look up and down the river to the bridge and across the water to the rolling hills. This is a unique and special place that will serve not only local foodies, but also pull folks in from around the wider area as they come to visit this spectacular architectural experience. Slide. The parking garage will be mostly underground and will include restaurant storage shown here in purple. Slide. The first floor hosts amenities for the independent living tenants, a wellness center, living room, theater, dining room, and other support services shown here in yellow. The restaurant entrance is shown in purple. Folks enter this lobby and take the elevator up. there are 23 independent living apartments shown in white. Slide. The second and third floors each feature 35 independent living apartments. Slide. And another slide. Thanks. The fourth floor has been reconfigured to offer the best west and south views. The restaurant is shown in purple. This arrangement also offers visual and acoustic privacy to the apartments as the restaurant is now moved off of the courtyard. 30 independent living apartments are shown here in white. Slide. A new fifth floor will be home to 23 independent living apartments shown in white and 11 active adult apartments shown in orange. Slide. The building will be fully sprinklered and handicap accessible. Exterior walls will be fire protected, fire retardant treated wood for additional safety. Slide. 3 elevators and 2 oversized fire stairs will serve building occupants and offer safe egress from the building. Slide. Thank you for listening to me talk about architecture for so many words, and we're proud of this design and excited to share it with you today. You could do one more slide. Thank you.
That pretty much does conclude our presentation. I'm glad we stopped on this slide because I do think this is a fundamental improvement, walking into the corner of the site in a way that we couldn't do before. And it wasn't even our idea. It was a prospective tenant who came up with the idea of entering a daycare into the Sage House and then connecting it to the top of B2. And then we didn't need the shared elevator because we were getting to that second floor. So it evolved organically, but I think this is going to be a really nice corner now. So that does conclude our presentation, and we'll certainly answer any questions.
Okay, we'll now entertain questions from commission members. I've got several. Okay, you want to go first?
Doesn't matter.
Sure, go ahead.
I have a question about the DOT and the line of sight, the sight lines. And I just don't know the answer to this. Does the height of the tree that you plant matter? So if they have a problem with that corner and that line of trees because it blocks sight lines,
Yeah.
Can you just plant a larger tree?
We'll go over that with the DOT, but the trees we far enough off the edge of road to
Yeah.
not restrict sightlines. They're not going to let us put them too close to the road.
Yeah, I know. I just
So-
was wondering because I don't know the answer to the question I'm asking.
Yeah, we'll still maintain the sightline that's required for there with the enhanced landscape.
No, I understand that. I just mean, let's say you didn't. It's just kind of a question that I wonder about. If you planted a different height tree, would that make a difference to DOT, or they're just like, no, you can't plant anything right there? Like, does the type of planting matter to them, or?
I think the location and the size matters to them. The species,
Not so-
maybe a little bit, but that's probably third in line. But again, the location and size that we propose and is what they're going to look at.
Just kind of curious about that because it gives you some room to
Yeah, there's a lot of room between that new.
negotiate with them too. If, well, if we plant this, can we?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And I have a traffic question. And it's a simple question. Is there a difference between the traffic from age restricted units to independent living units? Do you calculate that at all?
We can. In this case, we used the mid-rise apartments to be conservative. So we didn't differentiate between the two of them.
Okay,
Yeah.
All right. Should I keep going?
Sure.
All right. Has an arborist evaluated the sassafras tree that you guys have an opinion about?
We did not get an official diagnosis. It's something that I probably am one of the people pushing on this, in that the trees that we have kept, right? The beech tree at the entrance in front of Starbucks, and the trees in front of and behind the Brainerd House are just magnificent. And we have had arborists work on those trees to refine them further. I got up closer to the sassafras and personally felt that it was, I didn't see how we were going to get it to that level of I guess, glory that we'd reached elsewhere. And so then when I looked at the sidewalk being pushed out closer to Marlboro, and when you walk along there and the cars are ripping through, it just felt like we weren't getting the best experience leaving that tree there, because it wasn't on the same level as the others that we were protecting on the other parts of the job. So that was basically why we then, as a design team, said, well, what could we do to kind of honor the sassafras tree that is there, and straighten out the sidewalk so it feels safer when you walk up and down Marlboro. And so that's kind of how we got to this. We could ask someone for a diagnosis. It just is relative to the others that we saved. I thought it was a very, very lesser tree, I guess.
How big of a tree are you willing to replace it with?
Yeah, I don't know. We could haggle over that. Pretty big. We can't bring in.
I mean, I know.
I get where you're going with that, and I do actually. I do think some decent caliper size is appropriate. So, but I would have to talk and cost that out and such. We can do that between meetings and give us some feedback about what we would propose along those lines. Because I do think that one of the good things about this job and others like it is when there is mature plantings, right? So we could investigate that.
And you did I know you put a lot of effort into the other trees that you've retained on the site, but you haven't put the same effort into that one. So,
It's just so close to the road. There are all these dynamics to it where it's just, I can't see that it ends up at the end of the day at the level that we've been able to achieve in the other places. And part of it is how it interacts with what's around it. So being so close to Marlboro is one of the reasons that we're proposing this, because we'll get more where we propose the new tree can then really become huge and never have to be touched again, and it'll frame nicely around the old and new buildings, we think.
So it's something that needs a little bit more digging into then, right?
Yeah, in terms of what, not in terms of where we think it goes so that it can grow and never have to be moved or changed or interacted with. But yes, I would like to investigate in between meetings what we could commit to economically for the replacement tree, just caliper size.
Okay. I just have
But I think it's a good
a
question.
couple more questions.
Oh, no, fire away.
So I have to say, I like this architectural change a tremendous amount. I was very unhappy with the first plan, but the way that it felt like it walled itself off from the town center, and that there wasn't this space from the corner into what you call campus. So I'm thrilled with this. I think it's light years better. I like that the restaurant isn't looking into people's apartments from the patio. I think that was another thing that I really had a big problem with in the other plan. So for me, I'm like really, really happy about those two changes.
Sure.
I think that's great. You did say, the architect, in your presentation, that the Sage House is the front door to the second floor of B2. So if there's a daycare that's going from second floor B2 into first floor Sage, how does that also then be the general entrance to the second floor of B2 and not just the entrance to the daycare?
They're one and the same. So it's one user across the first floor of Sage into the top of B.
Right. So it's not the front door to the second floor of B2. It's just
It's-
the front door
you're
to the
coming in-
daycare
Yeah, you
portion of B2.
you're coming into ground level of Sage,
Right.
and they happen to be at the same level.
Right.
And Maura can take you through that better, but it
Missing-
could,
yeah.
yeah, I might
Missing
be.
Piece
sorry.
is that the daycare has the entire second floor of B2.
Thank
So
you.
there's no one else competing for that path.
Okay, thank you. That is the missing piece. And then, are the age restricted apartments, are they spread out? Or are they in one area?
So those are as in the last proposal, those are in their own wing on the top floor.
Is there space for more? Because you've increased the number of units, but you haven't increased the number of age restricted units. And I think that was important to the public.
That was governed by the 240 limit on residential units without the independent living designation. So that is not really an option for us to add to that. It's because 11 is all we have, because they're 220 between buildings E and F, they're 229 units. So this is the remaining. So.
Thank you.
That's your list?
That's my list.
Okay.
For now.
I have a couple. I noticed a large green area directly behind Sage. And I'm questioning, will that be dedicated to the daycare facility?
That's the intended use. And that's actually probably what drove the increase in green space, because we lost a couple parking spaces in that area to give an outdoor playground.
So that'll be like slides and merry-go-rounds, and because it kind of changes the dynamics of the
It'll
campus.
be, I think it'll be classy. I don't think it'll be merry-go-rounds and slides. So, I mean, I think one thing I hope is that we put a lot of time into the aesthetics. And so we will not be doing anything that diminishes the visuals on these buildings. And we didn't announce this, but the Sage roof is going on now. I think in the last several days, that's probably been visible. And the exterior windows were ordered and should be in the next 4 or 5 weeks.
Thanks. And my other question is this new proposed entryway. I think it's the one that's at the corner of Main and Marble. I guess I'm wondering, what is the thought of placing it there? Because that's kind of in my mind, an awful intersection for pedestrians to cross from either, the Walgreens side or
Well-
across Main Street.
Well, I think that it's the crossing we have, right, in terms of at the end, because otherwise you're walking all the way up to the new signalized intersection. So my feeling is that well, okay, no, sure, I'll add to her answer.
I'll architect this. I actually see it more as a visual, like, feeling of connection than I imagine a lot of people walking here, right? Like, you're most welcome, but I think it's more of the feeling of knowing you're welcome because you see this path. And realistically, to your point, you're driving by and you're going to get in there a different way, but it's just that feeling that it gives you.
And the last one I'm kind of hung up on is the rooftop restaurant, which is on the 4th floor of a 5-story building.
Yep.
So the visual that we saw proposes, could we
You
go
guys go
back
back one.
one slide? Help me understand.
Yeah, sure.
Do I see a whole story?
Yeah, so,
Story?
yep, so where you see the word signage there, that's actually a fifth floor above this restaurant, so the restaurant patio you're seeing on the fourth floor, and you can follow that line back. And I put my pointer away.
Yeah, okay. Maybe it's.
Right, to your point, it's all supposed to be very cleverly designed, right? So, but the fourth floor restaurant is here,
And that's a
and
whole.
it spills outside, and this is the fourth floor wrapping around.
Okay,
And then the fifth floor, we're missing the apartment that would have been on the corner of the fifth floor
right,
to keep it open.
okay. No. Okay, thank you. And I also had a question about the size of the sassafras tree, but that's been covered, so. Who else has questions? Okay, go ahead.
You have the detail of the brownstone at the base of the buildings, B1 and B2. Is that a commitment?
Yeah, I'm not paying for it. Yeah.
That's not the way you.
That's not how you do it.
That's not how it works.
No, we haven't asking the question.
Um, so we had done the facing on the apartment building so far, right? Where that we tried to capture as much of the look and feel that we could of brownstone with modern materials.
Option on the corner, the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we basically that was done all around the E building and then on the visible facades of the F building. And then we spent a lot of time using the harvested brownstone on the basis of the signs, the two monument signs on Main and on Marlboro. And that was, I think, Alan, like they built it 5 times until he was happy with it, how we had used the on-site stone. So I think this would be more along the lines of what we did on the base of the apartment buildings to capture that. But we also have tried to bring more visibly into, I think when I think about it, around the historic buildings, we tried to keep the brownstone intact in its original form and how we transition from those stairwells and stuff. So I think that's where it's truly brownstone. The rest of it is going for a look.
I think that originally, we were led to believe that, or maybe you believed it too. So I don't mean that you misled us
Yeah, sure.
on purpose. But we were of the belief that the buildings were going to have brownstone around the bottom. At the very beginning of all of this, when we first started looking at these things. And now with this presentation, we're seeing it again in B1 and B2. And I think that, we kind of didn't really get too on your case, let's say, about the fact that you substituted out the brownstone, because we know it's expensive and, you did that with the apartment buildings. Would you consider upgrading B1 and B2 because they're on the corner there and they're right in the village district?
I don't think so because it just wasn't viable when we did this analysis. And so we did the closest thing we could with modern materials. And this entire exercise has been trade-offs and trying to figure out like the restaurant's proposed in the way that it is. And I appreciate that you highlighted certain things about looking into the courtyard or not. And we tried to preserve the best elements, but get to a point where it was economically viable and that a restaurant operator would say, okay, because in our conversations to date, it was just too big for an operator to take on the square footage that had been allocated before. So this is right-sized and preserves all its core elements. And so my 2 cents on it is we've now gone through all the use cases that there are for this site. And so when Maura says, yeah, I'm the architect, no, we're doing it. I have to say, no, we've made a lot of decisions in terms of the unit mixing, what the buildings can and should be based on a lot of numerical analysis. So we've tried to honor everything we possibly can.
I did misunderstand the question. I thought you were asking if we're going to do the brownstone look,
Oh,
which I feel like
yes,
we can.
to that question, yes. So,
Okay. Just want to set the expectations in the right place.
that's fair. Sure.
Okay, questions from commission members? Or comments? Did we get anybody signed up to, from the public to speak?
No one from the public has signed up to speak.
Okay,
I'll ask them.
okay, go ahead.
Can you just explain the building height overall to me? Because I'm looking at numbers on the side and they just seem like they add up to more than 70 feet.
Is this at building A?
Yes.
I owe you a revised one because those numbers don't add up. I went back and I made it work.
Think
So we'll get you a revised
that
drawing.
I
Yeah,
losing my mind.
no, you're right. And
So they're gonna add up to 68 point.
exactly. And just for clarity, this is the correct numbers. The 2D CAD drawing has been updated. I just didn't submit it yet, but these reflect the proper heights.
And just,
I think Steve wants to make one comment.
And just as a reminder, building height is calculated from the average finished grade around the entire building to the mean level, almost like the midpoint of the roof.
and just the, okay, so these aren't right, but the reason why there's a floor that's fatter is because that's where the restaurant is. Is that?
Yes, so there's the floor below the restaurant's a little fatter as well, because we're gonna need structure to hold the weight of the people. And then the restaurant floor itself, you're right, is taller because we'll have not only the space sort of architecturally inside, but also the structure to span that open restaurant above it.
Right, and so that's different from the other buildings are all kind of the same. I mean, I think the lower floor is taller, right? Does somebody want to explain?
Chantel, could you just speak into one of the boards?
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I think you're okay. I'm not sure.
Sorry. Hi.
I can't hear.
Can somebody explain the different components that went into this parking space reduction? Just overall high level, what changed, what factored into that?
So we were able to increase the number of parking spaces on the site, and also the required parking spaces have been reduced from the last time. So that's why the differential, the waiver percentage is less. So we got more parking in that field to the west of A, and some spaces here and there around B1, B2 and Sage. And then by the reduction of restaurant space, that reduced
That's
the
what it
amount.
was.
Yeah,
Okay, that's what I
yeah.
wanted.
Because the daycare doesn't,
Right,
doesn't need that much parking as a restaurant.
so it was the restaurant space that was driving that.
Yeah, correct.
And but even adding on another 40.
37 independent living units. That's one space per unit for that.
Okay. And I do also really like the new B1, B2. I think that looks really nice. I don't like the extra floor. There, I'll say it.
The what?
The extra floor.
Okay, further questions or comments from commission members? Okay, I know no one from the public has signed up to comment, but we'll make a last call if anyone in the public would like to ask a question or make a comment, please make your intentions known.
Did you mention that we don't have the?
I will.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, then, we do not have the engineer's report completed at this time. So it's my feeling that, it wouldn't be fair to have a vote on this application tonight without either the engineer's review in hand or time to review that. So my understanding is that we are going to continue this public hearing till, December 11th.
December 11th, 6:30 here at the high school, middle school auditorium.
And that's another like off. Just,
Yes, that's the second Thursday in December. Yeah.
And the understanding is that the engineer's report would be completed in advance of that meeting for us to review.
Yeah, hopefully Jeff will have that turned around in a week or so. And gotten to Steve for enough time for him to respond to that for that meeting. That's the goal.
That tree.
And then, yes,
Yes,
get
we
more
will.
information on the.
We'll come back with a proposal for the size of
Something
the
large.
new planting. Yes.
Okay, then do we have a motion to continue this?
We do.
Okay, motion to continue public hearing for application 25-05, 69 Marlborough Street. Request for special permit modification, application and property of BRT DeMarco PTP LLC, map 19, lot 68, zone B2, B3, and TCVD. May I have a motion, a second to the motion, please?
Seconded.
Okay. And, all in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed, say no. Okay, the motion to continue the public hearing is approved, and we will re-adjourn December 11th at 6:30.
Just for Dawn's clarification, because she's doing the minutes via YouTube. I feel like Rob and Tom seconded that at the same time, so just wanted to make sure she knows who seconded it.
You can give it a Rob.
All right, so we'll go with Rob. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Dan.
Let's see, okay,
next thing is to.
that's it. Okay, so we have no further business to discuss tonight, so I may
I
have
need to sign it.
a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Seconded.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Okay, the meeting is adjourned.